Hello and welcome back. Today I'm doing a, I would say much awaited tutorial for the Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition editor, in which I explain how you can create custom units, so to say, how you can assign units to be trained in certain buildings, give them custom descriptions and all those things. So here I prepared a little scenario for you. And I'm not going to go through all of the triggers, but just what is important for this topic to really get into it. First one I'm going to explain here is the enable unit training. So what you need to do here is you need to first, for example, you want to train a legionary. So you select enable disable object, the effect. You want to select the player who this should apply to. You select the legionary and select here on enable, so make sure that there's a cross here, so because if this is like this then you just disable it. So enable legionary. I did the same here for the Centurion, so everything is double here. You also need to change the train location, because if you just enable the unit, it doesn't really have a place to be trained at, and that really doesn't benefit you in any way. So in this case I used the storage building. So I changed the train location to button location 1 in the storage for the legionary. For the Centurion I did the same, but with button location 2. So the thing about button locations is the first unit of, which you assign to a button will stay there. So if you would, for example, put the legionary on button location 1 and then the Centurion on button location 1 as well, only the first declaration would actually work. So you need to use a different location for this. Really makes sense if you think about it a little bit. And then of course what you also want to have is a little bit more tricky, the change object description. So we did this here both for legionary and Centurion, and it tells you what the description if you just hover over the unit in the building. Normally for legionary, for example, there's just no description at all, but here you can add this unit name, and then there is the cost here. You don't need to use like the round brackets here. They are, well, that's the norm for unit costs, so I did it like this here. Then smaller cost bigger displays the cost of different resources this unit has. Then a brief description, in this case is the Roman infantry unit, and then like you did with the cost, you put HP, attack, armor and pierce armor here. If you write it like this, it will read the attributes of the unit and paste them in there. You can also just write those stats in here, but if you do changes to the units, then if you just write those numbers, it won't update. But if you do it like this, then if there are changes to the unit made, it will also apply here. So that's very, very convenient. And here, of course, the same for the Centurion. There are still some things you would like to maybe have or add, but I will get to that in a moment, because you can do more than just change the training location and enable disable units. Alright, so now we got this storage here, and you see both the Centurion and the legionary. We'll already train them. We see those costs for them as well. Let's demonstrate like everything is working as you would expect to. Resources go down when you click with them by exactly the amount stated here, and you get a legionary. Okay, but you can also change a few other things about those. So for example, I would like to set the legionary to 50 wood and let's say 75 food and 10 gold. Then in theory, let's test this real quick, we should have the cost also updated in the description of the legionary, because we used the smaller than cost bigger than sign, and that should ensure that these costs keep getting updated. And there we go, 75 food, 50 wood and 10 gold. And you see if I click on this, also I'm spending 50 food each. So now you can of course also change a whole lot of other things and attributes about those units. like here the HP name, all that stuff. And if you're getting into modify attribute, you're getting a whole lot of additional options to work with. Some of those are a little bit tricky, yeah, but interesting things can be done with those. Now, something you still need to do though is if you want to change names and icons of units, because those changes are only applying to single units and not to the unit itself. So it's not changing the attributes of the units, but you're only changing those things of units on the field. You will need a loop trigger, like this. It's on and it's looping. Has a timer attached to it, so it runs every second, because we really don't need it more often than that. And here in this case, I changed the Teutonic Knight's name to the Praetorian, and the icon of that unit to the of the hero Belisarius. You see, they are called Praetorians, and they have that icon. Now, things like unit costs and such, they can be just done once at the start and then everything is nice, but if you want to change the icons and the names of specific units, then you need to do that in a loop. Okay, but that should about cover the basics of creating your custom units and assigning them to buildings of your choice, giving them costs of your choice and all those things. I will talk about how to do upgrades like this one here, which let me just demonstrate it through it quickly. There we go, we've got 2 legionaries, and we upgrade them to Praetorians. There we go. And now they look like Teutonic Knights, and also of the stats, because I didn't really change too much with that. But they have a name and an icon of our choice. And now if we continue to train, well, legionaries used to be, there is now the Praetorian. And how this is done, like how you do those pseudo upgrades, I will talk about in a future tutorial. Until next time, have a good one and have a lot of fun in the editor. Goodbye.